okay? Yeah.
Should be fine.
Okay.
The other presenter, where do you?
All right, so let's
Right
see if we
beside
can
me.
find it.
Okay.
Where might we be streaming right now? Are we streaming?
Mute that stuff.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Mute that so when we do that, can you pick it up again?
Estamos empezando en un par de minutos, entonces no voy a poder volver a contestar. Si hay alguna cosa, escriban, por favor.
¿Tenés el link?
Ya le pongo en el grupo que tenemos. Buenísima la foto en tanga, pero no la voy a poder usar. Ya vamos a empezar en algún buen minuto. Si quieren decir algo o si quieren participar, pueden chatear por acá o ahí en el canal de YouTube. Pueden hacer preguntas y acá ellos nos las van a pasar. O cualquier comentario si quieren también.
Hola, Sergio. Te pasé un link que es el link de streaming de la presentación que se va a arrancar en unos minutos para que en YouTube. Bueno, la puedes poner. Ah, lo que quieras. Puede ser. No sé cómo lo hace. Sí. Fabián, Martín tenía las fotos, ¿sí? No me preguntes de dónde, pero las fotos, no sé, Martín las tenía, se las mandó a Fabián y aparecía ahí. Las fotos que tanto estamos buscando. ¿Quién sabe dónde están? No, las debí tener. Yo creo que yo las mandé en el grupo y Martín debe ser de los que no borra chats. Como Paola. Bueno, no, chao.
Estoy mandando un link para hacer la presentación. Lo quieren ver. Por favor, no me manden audios porque no voy a poder contestar. Escriban. Inevitablemente todo el mundo me va a mandar un audio.
No, I'm just saying.
Estamos live. Mira, ¿se ves aquí? Hacete al lado mío a ver hasta dónde vamos. Yo creo que es
Que sea completo.
ahí.
A ver, ¿dónde estoy yo?
No, estamos muy para acá.
Ahí está. Este es
No,
el
pero
sitio.
estamos frente al bicho. Entonces hay que correr esto.
El sitio centro perfecto es donde está vos.
Pero la imagen está encima mío. Acá.
¿Qué pasa?
Acá. Es acá.
¿Listo?
O sea, no nos podemos pasar. ¿Y vos?
Sí.
¿Hasta dónde?
¿No?
Hasta la silla. Listo. Y we need the camera to be a bit. Oh.
All right, we're piling them in.
Can you have the camera just a bit higher?
Sí.
Sí, señor.
Sí.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Better?
Yeah, and just a bit to your right.
Tell me where you
Oh,
want.
okay, yeah, you're gonna follow us a bit, so we're gonna be here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Get some of Eric's, back of Eric's head in there too. That's good, Eric. Back of your head looks great.
No.
Nunca he hecho un Dexter tan rápido.
I guess if you want to go ahead and begin, you can.
Yeah, all
We're
right.
doing our announcements. People have a habit of showing up late, so.
All right, welcome everyone. Bienvenidos a todos los que están en la audiencia
Are you using the lapel mic?
internacional. Oh, need the mic. Yeah.
Put that on so we can hear you.
Is that okay?
Yeah, better.
Te lo paso después. Hi everyone and welcome. Really excited to be here today with you guys. My name is Fabian Rodriguez. I'm here with Reynaldo Torres, long date friend, and we hope to share some of our color computer adventures with you guys. Some of you I have spoken on the floor yesterday. Some of you I haven't, and this is going to go as fast as you want to. And we welcome questions while we're talking. And I'm going to pass this little book here. There's a few screenshots, but I think it's interesting to have in your hands the actual documentation and things that we rescued after more than 30 years. So if you can please grab this and just pass it around. CoCoByte, CoCo Friendship and Latin American Ambition. Buenos días a todos los que nos están escuchando en español también. Y muchas gracias por estar con nosotros. Mi nombre es Fabián Rodríguez, estoy con Reynaldo Torres, que viajó desde Bogotá, yo vine desde Montreal, y hoy les vamos a hablar de nuestra aventura con CoCoByte, nuestro grupo de usuarios del Color Computer desde Colombia hasta hoy en día en Canadá y en Colombia también. This
en español, huh?
Yes. This slide deck is under a free license, so if you guys want to download it later on, I'm going to make it available, and you can build on it, change it, and use the material in here. So I'm going to start with presenting myself a little bit. Reynaldo's going to talk about himself. Then we're going to tell you guys how we met, what happened at that time, what our CoCo timeline is, and we're going to share with you what was difficult for us coming back to the CoCo community today and what we hope to achieve in the next coming years. And we want to propose you guys to be part of that adventure and come with us and help us. And we look up to you a lot for this to be possible. So by day, what I do is I'm a GNU Linux guy, so I don't specifically work with Windows or other operating systems much, or I try not to. And I'm a huge free open source software advocate, so everything I do, I try to document and code in the open and share with others. And that's one part of free open source software. But the other part is making sure that people understand that what you're sharing, they can share back again without restrictions and build on it and do other stuff and learn from it. So that's a huge part, and part of that is what brings me to enterprise technical support. And I put consultant in quotes because really, I mean, when you say you're a consultant in IT, you pretty much do everything and anything. So my focus, I'd like to say, is really doing systems administration. And this, of course, is for customers, but I'm also a family sysadmin. And if you're in IT, or if you're even remotely interested or good at computers, you end up doing everything that has to do with computers at home. Having a big family, well, by today's standards, 4 kids at home, that means from the youngest age, they look up to me for repairing or fixing stuff. Later on, to learn and to do new stuff with whatever they've learned before. And desktop and server support never ends. There's always something to fix or to install or to bring the, new stuff to bring up. And I love, for some reason, it's really the opposite. Most IT people hate writing documentation. I love writing technical documentation. To me, there's very apparent beauty in having a good schematic accompanied with good text, concise bullet points, procedures, checklists. I love that. And when there isn't none, I tend to just get sucked into it and build one. So that brings me to, oh, I forgot that. So yeah, I'm not a developer. I'm not really a hardware guy. And when I say not really, I can do a bunch of stuff, and people look at me and tell me, yeah, you're a hardware guy. Well, I'm getting started with soldering and repairs in the CoCo world. So that's part of, the experience, I think, getting back to vintage computing and not soldering stuff to me means you're missing a big part of the experience. And one thing I forgot, in the CoCo community, one of my main focuses lately has been contributing to CoCopedia and adding up to the existing documentation and rescuing documentation that is around, that is scattered in Facebook, Discord, and so on, and then putting together something very easy. One of the CoCopedia pages that I'm particularly proud of is the drive wire cable documentation and schematics. There was a bunch of different versions around, and I put everything together, and that's coming out together nicely. Also by day, so we all have double lives, right? Our CoCo stuff and vintage interests sometimes are hidden from plain sight. So I'm also doing GNU Linux stuff. Wait a minute. It's the next one. Oh, no. Okay, that's one. That was in before. So I'm going to leave Reynaldo to present himself. And Reynaldo, you're up.
Hello. Hey, thank you guys. Good morning. I mean, I do not really like following the slides. I'm sorry for that, Fabian.
I'll
but
click for you,
anyways,
yeah.
Being here today, it's been a great experience. I mean, getting in touch with other guys that pretty much share the same things that I like. So, and getting back like 40 years ago when we met with Fabian, so it's been really great. Like Fabian said, I still work in technology, but even though that my wife says that I spend 10, 12 hours sitting at a computer and fixing things, once they finish, I still want to do my stuff. So it's hard to know, but it probably is something you guys live every day. But this is why I'm here. So I come from the Unix and storage world. I believe it's been 25 or something years. So when I was coming here, the flight attendant asked me for my passport and said, what do you do? So, yeah, I work in IT. How many years? I believe 25. Wow, that's a whole life. No, bet that I'm older than that. So, anyways, I do system administration, and I run my family, which is 2 kids. I used to work a lot on server support, different platforms, HP, Sun, mostly. I'm a hardware hobbyist. So I cannot say that I'm a developer, but one of the things that I like is, doing every day, getting in touch with what is new, right? So I buy a bunch of developer kits and just run a project and see if it works, and then I'm done, right? So, getting in touch with the community, it's great because you actually could get some goals and get to do something that someone really needs and have that working. So by day, I'm a computer enthusiast. I love to cook. That's what I do. I'm not a CoCo veteran. I'm a veteran because of the years that I have. But I was talking with one of you guys here, and it said that I probably was disconnected around 25 years from the CoCo world. But it's great to be back. And a couple of things I've never been disconnected of is, like I said, electronics. So I like doing hacks, mods, and I have done a bunch of things with the Raspberry Pi. And Fabian said that I'm a video disc owner, so I got a large collection. So when I arrived here, I said, hey, there are some laser discs there. Oh, let me check. I got all of them.
Yeah, I put this together for him, and the last item I added, I thought, you know what, being a video disc owner, you don't need to explain a bunch of stuff. Just the fact that you own that thing will tell the story by itself. So
Better than VHS.
we also had some.
You know, my wife tells me, why don't you get rid of all those? I mean, those are already on streaming systems. I say no. That's different, right? I mean, it's like you own it, and there is a story on every disc that I own. So, I mean, this is a quick timeline. I got my first CoCo when I was 15 or something, so that was in 1984. I did the upgrade in 1987. I believe Fabian came to the U.S., he bought the chips, and we upgraded a couple of CoCos that we had. I'm not pretty sure.
I have no idea. Some parts of that, we keep remembering stuff and putting together the timeline every time we meet. But yeah, we work together most of the time on any upgrades or programming or anything that we were doing. And this is kind of a trick. It's not really a timeline. It says really what happened. For 25 plus years, we were completely outside of any CoCo activity. And so the first CoCo came in 1984, and the second one in 2021, because we bought back the machines.
Fabian went to Colombia in 2020. I believe it was on February. I mean, just a month before this whole thing started. And I think we spoke about CoCo that time, right? So
yeah. So what happened is, we got to school, we got jobs, we got kids, families, life got in the middle of all this stuff. And we kind of forgot, really, the roots of what brought us into our jobs. We both are in IT today, and specifically support roles, customer-facing roles. And it's crazy because you have this notion that the nerds or the geeks of the 80s are these anti-social people that don't talk to other people. And the reality is we talk to other people all the day, all the time. So yeah, first job, turns out you were doing Mac support.
Yeah,
so
I did Mac support. I remember working AUX. That was a very strange Unix thread that came from Apple. I got that because for some reason the company that I worked for, that was a university in Cali, they bought a bunch of Mac stuff, and so they got that Mac server. So why don't you just connect it and plug it into the internet and set up some mail servers, Gopher servers, and a bunch of things.
So we're very lucky in that respect that we were able to witness the beginnings of the internet.
Yeah.
And of course, that was a bit more interesting than the CoCo at the time.
So we spoke in 2020, and then I was trying to figure out how to get a CoCo, and I got my first CoCo 3. I mean, all my initial stuff were gone. I used to live in Cali, and when my parents passed away, everything disappeared. So I pretty much, lost all that I had. Okay. How about this? It will work better. Thank you. So I went online, and I was trying to look for a CoCo that I could get, soon in Colombia, and I found one in Mexico. So I bought it on eBay, and that's when I got my new CoCo. That was, a couple of months ago. So yeah, that's, I believe, pretty much.
My turn.
Yep.
And yeah, so yeah, I have mine. So my first CoCo is a strange story. My dad was coming back from Canada. We moved to Colombia in 1978 after living in Montreal. My dad was a teacher at university in marine biology. And he had to wait at the airport in Miami for 5 or 6 hours. So he figured, yeah, I'll just go out and look around. One of the shops he went to in the mall that he went to was Radio Shack, and he saw a CoCo one, and of course he picked the 4K model. And so that was my first computer. Brought it back to Colombia and told me, don't touch that thing. It's expensive, and I'll let you know what it is later. I'm gonna sleep. And next day, 7 a.m. I was up, like most kids. I was 11 years old, 11, 12 years old. Of course, I unwrapped it, connected it, started looking around, connected it to the TV, and the manuals are just these absurdly well-done things that at that age I could read. I couldn't speak English, but I could read the code, and I knew that, you know, green screen, I type, these things are here in a kind of a monospace font. I typed things without knowing what it was, and for the longest time, that's what we did. We didn't speak English at all. And so that was my first CoCo. I got a second CoCo because these guys had CoCo 2s, Reynaldo and Ricardo, our other friend in Cali. He's watching us right now. Ricardo, espero que estés bien y nos escuches bien fuerte y con mucho cariño desde acá. And so Ricardo and Reynaldo had CoCo 2s, so I felt kind of left out. Got my CoCo 2, and then last year when I came back in this scene, I started buying 1 and 2 and 3 and starting kind of, you know, getting the notion that these machines needed to be rescued somehow and upgraded. And of course, we're always saying, I need to sell those, but we keep them around. And at some point, I think that the important thing is to share whatever we can. And in my case, I think sharing the hardware and fixing it before and upgrading it is also important. And so this is my original CoCo 1, which if you didn't know, there's a layer of, under the layer of gray paint, there is only black. The plastic is black. And at some point, it was so badly damaged that I just figured I'll just strip the whole paint. And I thought it looked pretty good. This is Reynaldo at that time. So as you see, he hasn't changed much. Just a little bit of more gray hair to add to credibility with customers. And this is one of his stashes. So like a half hour ago, I asked for a few friends in Colombia to send us pictures of that time. And strangely, our friends have more pictures about that than our families and ourselves. And they do remember that we used to hang around at the party and then, of course, hang around with computers, both at Reynaldo's house and at my house. And Ricardo at the time still is much older than us, and he would welcome us into his apartment. And the important thing here is all this hardware is very nice, but at that age, you're not really taken seriously by older people normally. So I think I was 11, you must have been 12 or 13. Yep. And the way we met was really strange. This is the letter that the local Radio Shack dealer sent to Reynaldo. So yeah, this is 85, I think. And how old were you? 85, born in?
I was 14.
So he's 14,
Oh,
and if
you were
you
13.
Okay, so if you look at this, they're inviting him to participate to a local users groups conference, which was really the IT conference at the Hotel Intercontinental Hotel in Cali, Colombia. So Reynaldo's job was to demonstrate a kid's computer to kids or to adults that would get in. They needed something fun to happen when the elevator doors would open. And of course, the speech sound cartridge did the job. So Reynaldo was there sitting at a nice table. When I got up, because I was seeking other computer users, I got there at 13, and then elevators doors open. Reynaldo is there with a speech synthesizer, greeting people. Hello, welcome to whatever. And wow, you have a color computer? I have one too. Oh, what is this model? And what are you doing? And how come you're here? Oh, I was invited. Oh, wow, that's crazy. Really? How old are you? Blah, blah, blah. And then, so we got together and pretty fast never left each other after that day. So the first years were really, going back and forth, trying to communicate as much as we could. We bought modems. We bought Rainbow magazines. It was very difficult to bring stuff. We would have to import from the US with huge custom charges. There was also long delays. It took months to get anything, and sometimes the stuff wouldn't arrive. Yeah. It would just get lost in mail. So if you look closely at the top of that picture, there's the CoCoByte Club banner. And these are things that we never notice. We just, have the photos around. We don't care. And then our friend Ricardo has been especially very good at keeping the history of CoCoByte around. And actually, when I left Colombia to study in Canada, my father gave all my stuff to Ricardo, and he kept it for the longest time. And when we reunited last year, that's when I realized everything that we had done at that point. This is Reynaldo, and that's DMP 130, I think.
Yeah, I
What's
believe so.
yeah. Yeah, we had very nice setups. Our parents actually bought us TVs, separate TVs, to put on our computers after, losing access to the family TV. And we bought floppy drives. We bought a bunch of hardware later on with the proceeds of our club activities. This is Reynaldo when he became a trader and essentially went to the Tandy 1000 line. Having a big family. How many brothers and sisters? Reynaldo? Six.
Yeah.
6 people. They, I think you were in the middle, or not.
That was the fifth one.
The one of the 2 youngest. So
Yeah.
the older brother and sisters, of course, went, started going to schools, university, and it was the couple of years where everything became Intel 8088 PCs. So this here is a picture when we reunited last year. And for the longest time, I was saying, I have, every time you go to Colombia, if I go to Cali, I have to stop by in Bogota. That's one of the stops. And Reynaldo living in Bogota, I was always telling him, I don't have time. Next time we will meet. And this year, I made a point to go see him. And this is like 1 week before the complete lockdown everywhere. And we had a great time. We talked about the CoCo forever, and we said, okay, let's meet again in July and really, do some stuff. So I left everything there. And I haven't been able to come back since then. What happened next? Our parents, so these are Reynaldo's parents. Reynaldo's in the middle. And these are my parents when I was very little. I think it's important to include them in this story because without them, none of this would have happened. It is by chance that my dad bought a CoCo, but he had the insight, he understood that something was happening at that time. And every time that we met, every time that we geeked out and that we typed listings forever, that we stayed up very late, that we had to commute or go to each other's places, the time that I took the phone for too long and then I had to buy a CB radio and he did, and we learned to put antennas on our roof so that we could talk long enough. They brought us to all these places. They prepared food for us. They put up with whatever we were doing with the phone lines and with the electricity and so on. So it's really thanks to them that we're here today, and that's what drove me to go into IT, So I don't know about you, but since I felt comfortable typing on a keyboard since age 11, then the rest felt pretty easy going to school and learning about that. This is the back of a card that I got from the Rainbow, of course, our Bible magazine here in the CoCo community. So I used to send programs to the magazine. Maybe many of you did. And I got rejected every time. But it doesn't matter. I kept these as little trophies. And we can see this one. But yeah, my mailbox was always full of these things. And at some point, when I met Reynaldo, he said, wait a minute, I have a P.O. box. You don't have to tell everyone at your house to be careful or anything like that. Everything's going to go to the P.O. box. And we can go there together, and we started writing to everyone. So if you look at the book that I passed around, there's a listing of all the CoCo clubs in North America. We used to write to those clubs and to other people and exchange letters. And this is one of the programs listings that we would trade with other people by mail. So today you can download the whole color computer collection of software that ever existed. I think it's like 2 or 3 gigs, right? It'll take you a few hours. But at the time, we had to send diskettes back and forth. And in this listing, what you see is check marks of people telling us, so we send the list, they check mark whatever they wanted, sent us a bunch of diskettes. we sent back a bunch of diskettes, and so on and so forth. And this listing particularly is in alphabetical order. There's a header there. So I made a point, I think this was my listing, but we always were programming stuff to optimize this. So this listing was a database that we would generate and add stuff to every time we got new software and we sent out new software. Of course, this was community sharing. There's another word for that today. I think it's piracy or something like that. So community sharing brought us to really push things to the formal side, And remember, I was 13 or 14, and all my friends were, and so we're talking to all these bunch of adults, and we figured pretty fast that we needed to, go in disguise in plain sight. So I would have a business card. I was the president of the Three Guys Club. And our postal box was listed here, which was very impressive. Oh, this must be someone important. They have a P.O. box. In reality, what we did was our meetings were mostly in the bus route to learn English. So this is my scorecard English courses. And the only reason I'm showing you this is because of this, we were able to kind of figure when did we meet and for how long did we do that. So for a full year, we were going in the bus, back and forth, telling stories and so on, getting the mail at the P.O. box, and that's where we were getting our dose of color computer software and information. So yeah, this is my diploma. And it's really interesting because, well, yeah, I know English. Okay, congratulations. Now what? What's next? What's going on today? So I was able to move to Canada after starting at the Lycée Français Paul Valéry in Colombia. So I kept my French that I learned when I was a kid. Went to French school. So in Quebec, the language is French. Official languages in Canada are French and English. And so it's interesting because my kids now look up to me not only to fix the printer when it doesn't work, but they know that I dabble in, I'm starting to fix things, solder, I bought the CoCos. They see all of this, and they absorb the information very fast. So I started taking classes, and this is my son Rafael and me in a recent workshop for soldering. And I think he's 11 now, and I think we often underestimate what the next generation of kids are going to do, who's going to come after us to fix and to play with these things. And the very important notion that we often forget and that the big companies are trying to erase completely from the collective soul is, what is a file? What is a directory? Where are those stored? And the fact is, we understood that as kids because on the color computer, you really had to calculate how much space you were going to type your listing with, because it wouldn't fit on a diskette. Probably the cassette would break if it was too long to save. So we dealt with those kind of restrictions with kids today don't have. They have unlimited access to everything all the time, 24/7. So it's really overdose of information, and I'm trying to focus on, hey, you know what? You need to remember these things can be repaired, should be repairable, and so on. And this brings us to the CoCo reboot. So we talked a bit about reuniting in person and online. That happened in 2020. So it's been a year or so. Last year, well, COVID happened, so we couldn't go as fast as we wanted in our plans. We started buying CoCo stuff. The auction is great at CoCoFEST to do that. And it's really been a learning experience, very humbling experience. After 30 years or so in IT, I'm used to buy software, to shop around, to haggle, and so on. Vintage computing is really different, and it's it's a very interesting experience. Tons of fun, and the rescuing part is really, really interesting for me. That's what I focused on. So I've driven 7 hours back and forth to go to get a PC or to get a CoCo that was selling for $50. And so, oh, this one is special. It has a composite output. Oh, this one is oh my God, it's so dirty. I have to put a mask on to even look at it. But yeah, I started to think, yeah, it's important to get the older CoCos, especially the ones that don't have much memory or don't have anything special with them, and buy a few joysticks here, get some software here, get the adapter on the back to connect them to a modern TV, and then sell it to someone else. Even if I lose some money, put it in good hands and then grow the color computer community. So in that respect, reuniting also happened on Facebook, Discord, and is mostly in English. So Ricardo, my friend, doesn't speak English really, so he's completely absent. I consider him like a genius in electronics and hardware. But there's no way that he can share what he knows as fast as he would like to because he doesn't speak English. So he can't write English at the same speed or understand at the same speed that we can. Of course, he can use the available tools, but that doesn't scale. So 2022 and beyond, we're hoping to get, get people interested in having better collaboration and realize that maybe, the community today is US-centric in English, especially. Of course, there's a huge community that we know about in Brazil. There may be other clusters in Europe, in other languages. I heard vintage computing is huge in Germany and Japan. So we'd like to get these people together, and one way to do that is welcoming these people in their own native language. So we opened a few chat channels on Discord, which is, sorry, not Discord, but Matrix, which is very similar to Discord. And the intention here is not to compete, but to complete whatever resources we have right now. And the other, the other intention with this is kind of have fun with the notion that the user groups are not dead and shouldn't be. There used to be pages and pages and pages in the old magazines of user groups in every, almost, several cities in every state in the US and many different countries too. Argentina, Japan, in France, and everywhere there were groups. And today we think they are gone. I think pretty much like ourselves, these people just got busy, life got on, and that's it. But if we look around and if we don't only tell them to go to Facebook in English, maybe they're going to start their own thing and join us together. And maybe if one or two people speak English in each different community, then maybe that's enough to bridge them, just like we're bridging today Spanish and English. And I think we need a way to trade and to get people interested in that. My way of trading is trying to improve as much as I can the documentation and give as much as I can. And bring back that knowledge. And so for sure, Ricardo has been following us for the past couple of days. So we send schematics, we explain things in Spanish. Oh, mira esto lo que pasó aquí. Uy, mira cómo lo hicieron. Y of course, it takes some time for us to do that and to repeat things and to blog about it, write about it. So we started a new blog, and we register our domain name with the Colombian domain name extension, which today is a commercial extension that anyone can buy. You don't need physical geographic presence in Colombia or a business in Colombia to get at .co. And that's the craziest thing. I'm going to finish here and maybe have some questions, or if you want to tell us about your own experience or your opinion on what we're doing. And it's really emotional for me to finish like this because it bridges the old name, CoCoByte. We just found out, yeah, it's available for a Colombian domain name. And this is where we start, on a new page, sharing on a website to a bunch of people that we don't know or care who they are or where, and much faster than before. Hopefully, more efficiently, and especially with your help, would be great. So yeah, thank you very much. Reynaldo, if you wanted to add something, or just join me if there are any questions.
No, guys,
so
thank
much.
you so much, and thank you for, sharing all this time with you, and all the things that we have learned this weekend. So it's been very helpful for both of us.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention something. Yesterday at the meeting, at the Glenside meeting, I mentioned, if any of you want to become honorary members of CoCoByte today, just come by our table, give us your names and email, and then we'll start annoying you with what we do.
We'll add you to a group chat, and then you will see a bunch of stuff in Spanish.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that listing in the book of the computer club. There was a listing for the Dearborn, Michigan club that I used to belong to when I lived in.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm glad to see it's still there.
Yeah. So one of the ways that we were able to track down when CoCoByte started is we actually sent our own entry for CoCoByte to be listed in the Rainbow magazine.
Yeah, I don't know how many hours I spent on all the Rainbow magazine by trying to find
Yeah. So
when it was published. So we probably should have like 2 or 3 months. That was the
Yeah.
main time
So-
to get
so-
a letter from Colombia.
So the thing is, before coming here, I asked Reynaldo, hey man, when were we first listed in Rainbow?
Yeah.
What's the date? He said, oh yeah, I'm gonna look for it. And there's these 200 magazines to look into.
Yeah.
And it's PDF searchable, but then you still have to download them, have them around, and so. And of course, when we download the whole magazine collection, we focus on 1 or 2 pages. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. We start reading everything, and yeah. So sometime in the next few months, expect a screenshot of wherever we first appeared on Rainbow. So, any of you guys have Spanish-speaking Latino friends in the area or elsewhere that are also into CoCo? I know Salvador is around here. Who else? Do you know? No?
We have, I don't know if you know Erico Montero, he's watching us live right now.
Oh,
He is
nice.
from Brazil.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if Brazil counts as Spanish speaking or not.
Well, they understand everything we say in Spanish. We don't understand everything they say, but great people. I've met quite a few great hackers and color computer enthusiasts there, and especially one guy that built a new type of joystick that we have at our table that you can try. So yeah, we're definitely in touch with them, and when I say Latin American, that includes Brazil, of course, yeah.
So what do you think about our community now that you've come back? What do you think about the state of CoCo right now?
I think that's a very good question. I think my opinion has changed a lot. Meeting the people in person is just incredible energy, friendship, camaraderie. Of course, there's the people that know each other for 20 years, so it's a bit difficult, more difficult for us to penetrate that circle. Yeah, I'm the annoying guy that will just jump at your table and say, hey, good morning, and that kind of takes some people off balance, right?
That's okay.
So being from Colombia, that's what I am, and sometimes this morning I hugged someone and I felt, whoa, wait a minute, a Canadian guy with a mask hugging me, and yeah, that's what we do. But I think the feedback has been great about what we're doing and very welcoming. This morning you almost killed a cocoa tree. And a bunch of people jumped in to help, and oh, you should do this, and we can do that, and everyone trading and giving away tools here. That's really great. And the fact that everyone knows that this is where it's happening and we need to keep doing this so that it's not forgotten and gone forever is crazy for me, really crazy.
I really like the way that you're sustaining the club. I was talking to my wife early this morning, and I was, telling her about the options and everything that you do, and I think it's I was saying that I really like the way that you're sustaining the club, and when I was talking to my wife this morning, I was telling her about the auctions and everything that you do, and she says, and why do not they go online on eBay and sell all that stuff? And say, yeah, because it's not the same. It's the way of sustaining something, and I really like that idea, and I hope you can keep doing that because you're doing 2 things that I believe are very important. That you're finding a way to keep this moving, so finding some bucks out of the auctions, and the other one, you're pretty sure that whoever is getting this, it's at least a little bit interested in what they're buying, right? So that's something I've really liked and from what you do, guys.
And Curtis Boyle is asking, is it the speaking that is the major barrier versus the
It is. It is. So here's this thing. Ricardo always tells me, I think a couple days ago, I was telling me, oh, I got this great thing, but it's in English. And he's like, yeah, send it along, and I'll, I'll manage. And that's what we did. I mean, we typed pages upon, no, dozens upon dozens of pages. We typed, if anyone remembers the Rainbow BBS issue, we typed the whole BBS thing without knowing much what would happen next when we would hit run, at the end of it. And then we learned English after the fact. So, yeah, we don't care that we don't understand English. We'll type code and run it, right? Nowadays, it's a security issue doing that. But Ricardo doesn't speak English, but he can read anything you throw at him.
Reading is much easier for, I could say most of the Spanish-speaking community, right? But listening could be challenging.
Yeah, and the thing with reading, because I insist, I offered a few people here to translate their documentation of the great hardware that is coming out. The thing with reading is that you can actually get people interested that you would have never been able to get through. Because if they see something in English, some people will just, okay, I can't do this, bye. If they see it in Spanish, it makes it that much easier. Even if you could theoretically just translate something online, we have a lot of documentation that is not digital yet. So, yeah.
And I can kind of understand that. If I took Spanish back in high school, if I can still read some, doesn't mean that I understand it very well.
Right.
I pick this word out, this, because,
Yeah.
40 years.
Yeah.
So
50 years. So I can understand that,
Yeah, so John Strong, a good friend of ours now, 3D printing genius, I would like to say, is telling us that here's experience, and many of you in the US maybe have lived that. You took enough Spanish classes to kind of understand what it is and, and recognize it, and maybe you can read it because you can go at whatever speed you want when you read it. But if you're listening to someone in Spanish or in English on the other side, yeah, there are great tools out there, but it's going to be much, much easier. I promise you, there's a bunch of Spanish-speaking people. If we put together a Spanish CoCo crew or whatever podcast, yeah, they're going to be listening to that.
Yeah.
And it's much easier for them to get the information like that.
You can also go back to basic learning theory, okay? I taught for a while, so, and the learning theory is hearing it through multiple ways. To learn something, you have to see it multiple times. Well, that can be different means. You can see it, you can hear it,
Yep.
and things like that. So having that in your own native language, unless you're really super fluent in the other language, you're still translating it. Some people are fluent enough so they're not translating it. So it makes it easier to process the information.
Yeah, I think the language barrier is just not really that big today because of the tools, but you can go faster, and of course, you're gonna make less technical mistakes.
Yeah,
if you
it's
speak
the
same.
way of engaging community. So
Yeah.
it will be faster if you just speak the, local native language. So once you're there, things are different, right? So the big challenge is how to engage the people, right? How we get together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and for us, because we have, I live in Montreal in French. I visit the US, or I have friends in the rest of Canada in English, and when I go to Colombia, it's pretty much Spanish. So when people tell me, hey, how you do this? Oh, I want to do that too. Oh, well, sorry, it's in English. For the US, it's okay. For the Canada, it's okay. For Colombia, I'd love to welcome everyone to just, don't think it's an English-only club.
Yep.
I don't want to insist too much on that either, but I think we have other bigger challenges, like gathering the documentation, digitizing everything we can, and make it discoverable. So that part I'm more worried about. The language thing, we'll sort it out, and I won't forget English or French, and you won't forget English. So yeah, we can still be around in the conferences and bridge people together. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you so much, and have a great day. We'll still around here for a couple more days, and yeah, hopefully you join us in this effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Bien, bien, bien.